How you doing out there? This is John Wayne Mercure, the Sonneteer, from beautiful Chandler, Arizona. Endless summer here. I mean, it's January, all right? And it's fine. The temperature is 75 out there. It's just beautiful. It's endless summer. And everywhere else, there's icicles and all the snow and skidding on a freeway, 15-car pileup, and pipes freeze and the cars won't start. And I sure like to ski. I like to ice fish, but man, after a while you think, end of summer sounds pretty good. And sometimes when you come to a place like this, here's a guy that I heard about, and I wanted to write a sonnet in his honor. And I'm trying to honor him because I really admire his courage. I mean, why did he do this? Why? Because he couldn't have peace until he did. Until he confessed that the conscience ate him alive. My sonnet number 870. The merciless hunt of the guilty conscience. Because his conscience was so guilty, he couldn't bear it anymore. 20 years after he murdered somebody, Kenneth Jackson, he turned himself in. He had plenty of time, 20 years, to try to forget this gruesome mortal sin of his, killing a 78-year-old man, Marlon Darton. He beat him with a club. He smashed him repeatedly with a brick. A huge amount of blood. He stabbed him in the neck with a kitchen knife so mercilessly. He covered the poor victim's eyes with a pillow because his face was staring at him so gorily, so ghastly. He covered his face with a pillow. He couldn't take it. All for a miserable $100. That's what he stole to get high on devil's drugs. He killed an old man for $100. A dangerous junkie thug he was. Well, conscience pursued him, would give him no rest, hunting him without any rest. The hangman's vengeance. Every shadow you see a police officer to arrest you. Running away, you get the cold sweats, trying to go straight and quit drugs. Getting a job, he got a job. Trying to erase Marlon Darton's bloody face from his memory. The man he killed. He bought a house. Never a moment's peace, though. He told his own father about his crime. I killed somebody. And he heard his father say, "You got to make it right, son. You got to make it right, son. If you have to do the time, you got to make it right, son." Well, year after year, he kept having these ghoulish nightmares. Many sleepless nights. Tears of remorse, sorrow, hearing Darton's, the victim's, ugly death rattle indict him. 20 years of tormented conscience, confessing to his own dear sister, and she told him, "You got to turn yourself in." Fleeing impossible torture of his conscience. So Kenneth Jackson, he drove from Georgia to Phoenix and surrendered, knowing his conscience was his own executioner, an excise cancer. He had to stop his conscience into guilt. Edgar Allan Poe tells of a story, A Telltale Heart, a murder victim's vengeance. Imagining, hearing, beating a dead heart. This guy killed his victim and put his body under the floor, and he could hear the heart beating, and it was beating and beating and beating, and they came to investigate this dead person, and he thought, they're going to know, I can hear his heart. Made him crazy. Homicide's revenge. The victim's getting revenge. I can hear the heart. My conscience is going to haunt you. A murder victim's heart beating, 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 shrieking, much louder. Your conscience. The anger of unavenged blood. Crying out, screaming, bloody murder, bloody murder. In Shakespeare, it's Macbeth, killing King Duncan. And Lady Macbeth, ravaged by her guilt, the spear of blame in her heart. The blood won't wash out of my hands. I can't get the blood off. Her sanity was killed. This is making me crazy. The blood's there. Down, damn spout. Out, spot, go. Wash out the blood of murder. You can't. Lady Macbeth's own suicide. My conscience. Rattled on by Judas. Judas, look what he did. Jesus was crucified, and Judas hanged himself. and died, he felt so guilty. He was so sorrowful. He couldn't take it. What have I done? What have I done? Take back your 30 pieces of silver. I betrayed God. And he hung himself. What? The conscience. The conscience. And I'm telling you this man that did this, I look at him and I think Kenneth Jackson, Mahatma Gandhi, he said this. The tyrant conscience, that conscience that you have, he said, is the only voice I ever listen to. My own conscience. That's God talking to us. Because otherwise we're haunted by ghosts. The guilty flee when no man doth pursueth. They run away when nobody's after them. You got to trust in God's justice. The debt always gets collected. And this man was tormented for 20 years, and the courage he took to come and surrender, I think, hey, I admire him so much, Kenneth Jackson. I mean, what he did was wrong, but it haunted him and haunted him. And I'm telling you, that's what righteousness is. God bless this man. Righteousness, righteousness. And that's what we got to do, American Citizens United. Thank you for listening. God bless us, everyone. And especially, God bless Kenneth Jackson. Au revoir, mes amis. Du gardez-vous pour toujours. Et te mec qui vous aime.